You know, I always wanted to be. I probably got into it for the wrong reasons. You know, I wanted to develop better fighting skills for those little scuffles in the street, and but I walked in the door and saw these guys that were just out there beating the crap out of each other, kickboxing, and under Bill Packer. And in those days, it was Mike King and John Moncayo and Dave Johnson, some big names, and I didn't know anything about it. And I said, wow, I want to do that. I wonder if I can even go to that place. Next thing I know, I'm working out with those guys. Mr. Packer kind of required me to do Kempo along the way. Looking back on it, I think it was a good thing because it got me out of trouble. And the Kempo aspect, with the martial art background, with the honesty and the courtesy and respect, that became a big to me. You know, I started yes sir and no sir and everybody. I think that's helped out in life. Along the way, though, I just started kickboxing, and that's where my love became the fight. You know, kickboxing wise, had my own schools for many years. Started when I was like 23, had my own school, and have been in the business pretty much ever since. Fought professionally around the world, and then decided I want to learn how to wrestle. You know. Got a hold of Greg Jackson and another friend of mine through another wrestling buddy, Chris Luttrell, and it kind of began from there. So I found out where my holes in my game were with these guys, and I'm blessed to be in an industry now that's growing. So I'm really enjoying life.
I got talked into this whole gig. Martial arts to me was all necessity based. I just needed to. I grew up in the South Valley of Albuquerque, New Mexico, where I was the only white kid, and
You're white?
Well, for the first 12 years of my life, I thought I was Hispanic. I was pretty sure. But they reminded me that I was white quite often. And so, yeah, it was just necessity-based. And that's where I think even MMA's journey all kind of started from there, was just the need that, like, there's got to be a better way to do this. The Hispanic and Mexican boxers that I were fighting when I was trying to grab wrists or doing this stuff, and they were just bobbing around and nailing me in the head, I would just go back to wrestling because wrestling is where I'm a third generation. My grandfather wrestled, my father wrestled, my little brother wrestled, all my uncles. So I would always just go back to wrestling around with them. And then I had a rudimentary game on the feet. I did all right, but I was too light to hit really hard. So we'd end up wrestling. And then, I met Mr. Winkeljohn, and there's only been really a couple people. I mean, I've bounced around other styles and stuff like that, and people have showed me moves, but my dad, who taught me wrestling, and Mr. Winkeljohn, that taught me kickboxing, are the pretty much the only two instructors I have ever had. I don't have any belts or anything like that at all. It's just, it was all necessity-based for me, and I didn't even want to be a coach either. I opened my first school at 17, and my friends talked me into it. They were like, hey, do what you're doing, because I would defend myself, and in those days I was into showing off a little bit more. And so they made me open up a school to teach, and so I was teaching out of somebody else's school. And then we were doing something pretty unique right around the UFC, the time the UFC came out. And then Chris Luttrell, that he mentioned, talked me into taking these guys to competitions, which I never really was into at all. I was just a self-defense guy. And after that we started winning, and then we started winning more. And now I'm sitting in this chair with you fine people. But yeah, I didn't see a Bruce Lee movie and get inspired or anything like that. I didn't want to get beat up.
Pretty good reasoning, actually.